already? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time. I'm going to ask you to remember to turn off your cell phones. We are going to go live in about 5 minutes, and it works better if our very, very favorite instrumentations are off so that we don't interfere with the signal. Let me introduce myself. My name is Nomsa Masubu. I work for the Electoral Commission at the National Office, and my role today is a very small one. It is to steer you through the program, which incidentally you do not have there for a good reason, because the program is going to be short, so you will rely on me to work you through the proceedings of the day. I wish to welcome you to Gallagher State on behalf of the Electoral Commission. It is good to have you here. The Electoral Commission does not take your presence for granted. We know that your schedules are busy. And so for us to have your company is something that we appreciate and never take for granted. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you a little bit about music that we heard over there. On my right-hand side, I have a sign language interpreter to make sure that we communicate with those that are hard of hearing. We are going to begin straight with the program by singing the national anthem. We will be led in that singing by the group that is called Basadi, which is a Sotho word that means women. If I can please have the team come out, please. If I can ask you to please rise so that we can sing the national anthem. Thank you very much. You may take a seat, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start with a presentation, a speech by the Chief Electoral Officer of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Mosotho Miepa. CEO, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director, Dr. Masuku. Honorable ministers and deputy ministers present here today, commissioners of the Electoral Commission, members of the Diplomatic Corps, honorable leaders and representatives of political parties, members of constitutional institutions, members of public sector institutions, members of the judiciary, representatives of national and provincial governments, members of SALGA and representatives of local government, members of civil society organizations present here today, representatives of trade unions, business leaders, international guests, members of the media, former leaders of the Electoral Commission, members of staff of the Electoral Commission, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, fellow South Africans, and all registered and eligible voters. Good morning to you. I want to thank you for joining us here today for the launch of the 2016 municipal elections. I should point out at the outset that this launch is in fact something of a misnomer, because the planning, preparations, and work to ensure the successful hosting of these elections has been underway within the Electoral Commission for many, many months. As long ago as the last quarter of 2014, we drew up our first detailed project plan for this year's elections, and since then, work has been progressing with ever-increasing intensity on the various aspects of this plan to bring us to today's launch of our public campaign and to ensure that all South African citizens are adequately informed, they are motivated, and they are equipped to participate in these elections. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you through some of the work which has been going on for the past 15, 16 months to prepare us for today's proceedings. A lot of work has happened behind closed doors as we anticipate an election that will be robustly contested, intensely scrutinized, and one that we know we have no option but to deliver in exceptional circumstances that will make our country very proud. After each general election, the Electoral Commission embarks on an assessment of its processes in conjunction with our stakeholders, including political parties. We do this to review the various aspects of the electoral process and to identify areas of enhancement and improvement for the next elections. Among the areas of enhancement which we have been working on behind the scenes for this election, we talk broadly of the areas that affect the people that work for us over this period, the revision of the voting station network that we use, our logistics, planning and infrastructure, the procurement of materials and equipment, the legal framework that we need to prepare for elections to be held, as well as the way in which we communicate messages with our voters and stakeholders. Let me briefly discuss some of this work with you here today. In respect of the revision of the voting district network, ladies and gentlemen, a key input into the preparations and planning for municipal elections in this process is, in fact, the municipal demarcation process that was undertaken by our colleagues at the Municipal Demarcation Board. Please permit me to thank the chairperson of the board, Mayor Jane Tupana, and her team for the work they have done and for meeting their very pressurized deadlines for delivering the final municipal and ward boundaries. The MDB, thank you very much. The MDB process did not only review ward boundaries, it has also reconfigured the municipal landscape in our country significantly. The number of municipalities has been reduced from 278 to 257. This number includes 8 metropolitan municipalities, 205 local municipalities, and 44 district councils. There is similarly a 15% reduction in wards with a final figure at 4,392. We took receipt of the final batch of municipalities on the 15th of December 2015, and we are now in a position where we are reviewing the voting station boundaries in the light of these newly demarcated wards. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, voters will be pleased to know that our voting station network stands at 22,513 voting stations, and it is estimated to be final at approximately 22,600. This represents a significant improvement in terms of access to voting station by voters and compares favorably with the 20,859 voting stations that we had for the 2011 municipal elections. An election is never complete unless we talk to voters. The Electoral Commission has already undertaken an initiative to visit and inform voters who have been affected by changes in ward boundaries and how these changes will be impacting on their registration with us. These voters were also provided with an opportunity to re-register in their new voting districts where applicable. We call this initiative Targeted and Communication Registration, and simply you'll find my colleagues saying TCR. A second opportunity of TCR will be undertaken shortly before registration weekend, which I will talk about shortly. We have enjoyed enormous amount of support of communities and their leaders in TCR Phase 1 and look forward to even more support in TCR Phase 2, which we will undertake as I've indicated. People make an election work. At the Electoral Commission, we attest to that. The recruitment and training of electoral officials is a critical aspect for any successful election in the nation. There are approximately 1,000 full-time employees of the Electoral Commission, whereas it takes 220,000 people to run a smooth election in this nation. We therefore rely heavily on short-term staff to fulfill the vital roles with considerable responsibilities that we undertake on election day. Working together with political parties and the Political Party Liaison Committee, we have reviewed the criteria for the appointment of presiding and deputy presiding officers. This has enabled us to recruit just under 50,000 officials for our general voter registration weekend planned to be held early in March. We have enhanced our training program for these election officials to ensure that they have a thorough understanding and appreciation of their roles and responsibilities. Given the significant timing benefit we have between now and the registration weekend, we have taken a decision to do a refresher training session in the light of the need to collect more data from registration applicants. Ladies and gentlemen, people will tell you an election is the biggest exercise in peacetime periods. Logistics is the heart of any election process, and many elections are either successful or fail at this hurdle. I have great pleasure in informing you that our logistics provisioning for the registration weekend is virtually complete. We are at an advanced stage of election day provisioning. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a dream position for any electoral management body to be in. Similarly, where municipalities have merged following the MDB process, we have reviewed our office and supply chain infrastructure, as well as the staff implications arising from these changes. I am pleased that even these situations we have responded fully to, and the changes have been mitigated absolutely satisfactorily. Legislation allows for an election to be run where the rules are known and the result places the election in a position where the results can be easily accepted. A sleek election requires precise, relevant, and timely legislation. Again, throughout this process, we have consulted tirelessly with our stakeholders and submitted proposals on our legislative amendment in the form of the Municipal Electoral Amendment Bill 2015 last year already to Parliament. These amendments are now in their final stages of approval through the parliamentary process. It is anticipated that the bill will be signed into law in no more than a few weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, trust and confidence in the outcome of an election is a result of the degree to which all stakeholders perceive the process to have been free and fair. Today's event is one of those that form part of this ongoing education and communication, and is one of the many engagements with all stakeholder groups that we have set up in the period leading up to elections. In the next few weeks and months, our schedule is completely inundated with meetings that involve a rich variety of stakeholders, including the disability sector, the business sector, organized labor, traditional leadership, faith-based organizations, youth formations, women groupings, observer groupings, the media, and many others. I have already mentioned the importance of the Party Liaison Committee, which continues to meet regularly in all spheres of government, national, provincial, and local. There is, of course, direct communication with voters. From today, a communication campaign will be launched across a variety of media platforms, including outdoor, radio, print, television, and of increasing importance, social media and digital platforms. We are confident that this campaign will appeal to all eligible voters and will inspire them to register and vote in greater numbers than ever before. A target audience of special importance in any voter registration campaign will always be the youth. Our current voter registration statistics show that more than 80% of eligible voters not currently on the voters' roll are aged below 35 years. For our democracy to continue to grow and thrive, and for the outcome of these elections to reflect the will of all South Africans of voting age, we need young people to register and to vote in greater numbers. For this reason, our communication campaign has a particular youth focus, with youth-focused adverts developed for television, for radio, print, and social media as well. Social media in particular is a platform where young people engage, debate, discuss, and communicate, and we have been working directly with key social media platforms, including Facebook, to deliver all these tailor-made messages that we wish to encourage young persons to look at and participate. South Africans are used to an election being different from another. No one election will be complete without innovations. The business of managing elections is by no means a static process. As our democracy grows and the electorate gets to understand our business, so the electoral process must also evolve and improve to accommodate these increasing expectations of all stakeholders. The good news is that the 2016 municipal elections will bring innovations that seek to give even greater participation in the electoral process to all of our voters. Amongst others, these innovations include opportunities for candidates and political parties to submit their list of candidates by electronic means. We also have opportunities for special votes, applications that can be taken via mobile phones for special votes that will be administered at voting stations. We have established a contact and not a call center on this occasion, say a contact center that has combined the capabilities to attend to voter inquiries on voice, electronic, and digital platforms. The voter registration weekend, ladies and gentlemen, is always the first key step in general elections for voters to participate. The current voters' roll as of this morning consists of 24.95 million registered voters. Those of you who have a keen ear for detail or very good memories will notice that this is slightly lower than the number of registered voters for the May 2014 elections. That number was 25.3 million then. The reason for this is that between elections, the voters' roll tends to decline due to the removal of deceased persons. In all previous elections, we have set ourselves the target of 80% registration. This will be no different for the 2016 municipal elections. We will be providing you with detailed analysis of the registration gap in the period leading to the general registration weekends, which will be held on the 5th, Saturday the 5th and Sunday the 6th of March 2016. On these days, our voting stations will be open for voter registration between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. We can never complete an election without keeping in touch with the electorate. Our key objective over the next few months is to get as many of the eligible voters as possible to register and to vote in the 2016 municipal elections. In this respect, we have already extended the reach and availability of our contact center, which is already up and running every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Besides the traditional 0800 11 8000 number, the contact center will also be available from Monday via Facebook and Twitter, and web chat via our website. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that the first thing you want to know is when that election date will be. And you have waited throughout my speech up to now to be disappointed. The proclamation of the municipal elections is the prerogative of the Minister for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, the Honorable Mr. David van Rooyen, after consultation with the Electoral Commission. We have been engaging with the Ministry and the Department extensively and are very grateful for their able partnership and engagements in this period. I am satisfied that we are well on track to holding the 2016 municipal elections. I am also satisfied that these elections we are going to hold will be free, they'll be fair, they'll be credible, and they will be smooth. And I know that sometime between May and August, these elections will become a reality. We have the people, we have the processes, we have the systems, we have the skills, we have the expertise, and most importantly, the passion and commitment to deliver on our mandate as contained in the Constitution. It will soon be in your hands. I thank you and wish you a good morning further.
Thank you very much, CEO. With that, we are going to go to the next item on our agenda. I'm going to invite the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Glenn Mashinini, to make his input for the day, and I'd ask you to give him a round of applause since he is our new chair.
Thank you, Program Director, Dr. Nomsa Masuku. Morning to all our guests and partners in the electoral process, including the honorable ministers and deputy ministers present, fellow commissioners of the Electoral Commission, honorable leaders and representatives of the political parties, members of the diplomatic corps, members of the constitutional institutions represented here today, members of the judiciary present, members of the public sector institutions, representatives of national and provincial governments, members of SALGA and representatives of local government, members of civil society, including community-based organizations, traditional leaders, and faith-based organizations, representatives of trade unions, business leaders, international guests, members of the Fourth Estate, our media, former leaders of the Electoral Commission present here with us, those we refer to as our elders who are here from the Electoral Commission, members of staff of the Electoral Commission, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, fellow South Africans, and all our registered and eligible voters watching this program live. Thank you for being with us today at this important milestone in the journey to the municipal elections. On behalf of the Electoral Commission, allow me to wish you all compliments of the new season and a democratic, peaceful, and a prosperous 2016. This indeed is a momentous year in which we celebrate the 20th anniversary of the adoption of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, the cornerstone of democracy in our country, and a document we are all proud of. For the past 20 years, we have seen democracy grow and flourish in our country. Today, it is part of the very fabric of our society, woven into each and every aspect of our daily lives. It is visible each and every day in the rights afforded our citizens to health, education, security, housing, and many other constitutional rights, in the basic amenities and services provided to our citizens, irrespective of the color of their skin, in the robust debate in Parliament, provincial legislatures, and municipal councils, in the freedom of speech enjoyed by our citizens on social media and other platforms, in the freedom of media enjoyed by our press, in the protests which are allowed without threat of arrest and detention without trial or imprisonment. And it finds expression through a national common voters' roll, regular elections, and the system of multi-party democratic government at the national, provincial, and municipal levels. The importance of elections, distinguished guests. Chapter 1, Section 1 of the Constitution contains a founding provision which reads, "The Republic of South Africa is one sovereign democratic state founded on the following values: human dignity, the achievement of equality, and the advancement of human rights and freedoms, non-racialism and non-sexism, supremacy of the Constitution and the rule of law, and universal adult suffrage, a national common voters' roll, regular elections, and a multi-party democratic system of government to ensure accountability, responsiveness, and openness." This year, the citizens of our country again have an opportunity to put this into practice in our forthcoming 2016 municipal elections. Much has already been written about the importance of this year's elections. They are being billed by many as a test for the support for various political parties and formations. I'm not a political commentator. I will leave speculation of this kind to those more ably qualified than me. The elections are also being billed as a litmus test for Electoral Commission to see whether we can continue to deliver free and fair elections. This, indeed, is a litmus test for us, as every election has been since the dawn of democracy in this country. The Electoral Commission did not build its reputation for excellence, integrity, and credibility in one single electoral event. It started that journey in 1994 and continued upon that success in each and every subsequent election in 1999, in 2000, in 2004, in 2006, in 2011, and in the recent elections of 2014. As well as in the hundreds of by-elections which we have been holding every year since the inception of our democracy. We will be tested again in by-elections next week and again next month. This includes the Tlokwe elections, Abakulusi, Oldstrom, and many other up-and-coming elections before we get into the municipal elections 2015. Once more, our ability to manage free and fair election with integrity, professionalism, and efficiency will be tested in the municipal elections of 2016. As the Commission, we strongly believe for democracy to thrive and grow requires constant focus and attention to detail. This requires constant improvement and enhancement of our policies, our systems, and our people. As we've always said, the devil is in the detail. Distinguished guests, the Commission is seized with making sure that we leave no stone unturned as we prepare to meet this challenge. As you have heard from our Chief Electoral Officer, the preparations are well underway to ensure smooth and efficient and effective running of elections this year. On behalf of the Commission, I wish to assure all South Africans that the systems, processes, checks and balances painstakingly put in place over the past 20 years continue to endure in this institution. In spite of the challenges that we have experienced throughout the 20 years of our constitutional democracy and in recent times, and without fear of contradiction, the fundamentals of this institution remain intact and are rock solid. To substantiate this statement, let me highlight some of the measures that we have built to secure electoral transparency and democracy as a nation. Firstly, we have a strong legislative foundation which entails the following: clearly defined and published legislative provisions and regulations governing every aspect of the electoral process. This means that the rules of the game are known by all the players. A national common voters roll that is regulated and available for inspection by parties ahead of every election. A transparent and published code of conduct for political parties to govern the conduct during elections. And a mandatory code of conduct for all election officials, which emphasizes the crucial importance of integrity and impartiality. Secondly, we have a collaborative and partnership approach which is outstanding by any world standards, in which we work closely with key stakeholders in planning and in running of elections. This includes, firstly, working with state agencies and institutions. Further, there is a continuous engagement and consulting with all political parties at national, provincial, and local and municipal levels, in which they are kept informed of all aspects of election preparation and implementation, and where they are able to provide inputs into the process. These include, among others, agreeing to clear guidelines and criteria for the recruitment and training of all electoral staff. Secondly, it also involves transparency in the process of appointing presiding officers, including endorsement of these appointments by party liaison committees. Encouraging political parties to have 2 agents at every voting station to observe the entire voting and counting process, and allowing international and domestic observers access to the voting station, as well as unrestricted access by the media. Thirdly, we have a very robust system and processes to ensure the highest standards of integrity of our results. These entail, among others, when result slips are completed for each voting station after counting. These slips are countersigned by election officials and party agents. We have a result system that is certified by independent auditors from reputable international auditing firm, and their unqualified audit opinion provided to all the political parties. All stakeholders have access to the result system as the result centers to see captured results at the same time as we do, and to compare them with the reports from each voting station. And lastly, the same information is also available instantly to the media and voters via our results apps. Ladies and gentlemen, like anywhere in the world, elections are never without risks and challenges. We too are facing a number of challenges for the 2016 municipal election, for which we are putting in place robust mitigating plans. These challenges include, among us, the municipal demarcation process. There are challenges regarding the acceptance of the final outcome of the Municipal Demarcation Board process by all communities and stakeholders. As we know, this process has only very recently been concluded, and there are areas that are still to respond, and in some instances, there are matters before our courts. This can have an adverse impact on the registration and or voting activities in the affected areas. Further, civil unrest and service delivery protests continue to play out in a number of communities. Citizens have previously sought to disrupt voter registration and elections to draw attention to their grievances. We appeal to all communities and citizens to exercise their right to protest peacefully and without infringing the constitutional rights of other citizens. Voting district stacking, commonly known as bussing in of voters. Ladies and gentlemen, this is something not unique to South Africa. In fact, it is a phenomenon as old as elections. Unfortunately, there will always be those who seek to unfairly influence the outcome of elections. It is our collective responsibility as stakeholders to remain ever vigilant in ensuring that manipulation of voting outcomes are detected and prevented. We urge all candidates and parties to work with us in ensuring the integrity of voters' roll and electoral processes as per code of conduct and the rules and regulations which governs our elections. As we used to say in the township back in the days, is that ayibamba ayiluma. We call on all voters to safeguard their own voter registration and voter participation from any abuse or coercion that may lead to adverse consequences for our democracy. Finally, we wish to remind everyone that it is criminal offense to register where you are not resident or to coerce any voter to break the law. The Commission will not hesitate to refer any such allegations to appropriate authorities to deal with accordingly. Distinguished guests, some people believe that municipal elections are not as important as national or provincial elections. We as the Commission wish to enlighten all citizens about the importance of municipal elections. Local government, as you will agree with me, is the coalface of the delivery of services and amenities throughout our country and directly affects communities' quality of life through provisioning of essential services such as water, electricity, sanitation, critical infrastructure such as roads, safety, and security. There are also some people who believe that their single vote won't make a difference. The Commission believes that each vote counts in an election, and especially in a first-past-post system for ward councillors. You may be interested to know that in the last municipal election of 2011, almost 400 wards councillors were elected by fewer than 250 votes. If you really think your one vote does not make a difference, try sleeping in a room with a single mosquito inside. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, South Africa has one of the youngest populations in the world. As the CEO has pointed out, nearly 40 million out of 55 million population is under the age of 35. And 21 million was born after 1994. So we are a young nation. But our voter registration profile indicates that young voters are not optimally registered. In 2014 election, we had an overall registration level of 80%, as pointed out by the CEO. While the registration level for voters older than 40 years old was 95%, the registration levels for age under 30 was less than 50%. And the lowest registration level for voters aged between 18 and 19 was a mere 15% of that group. Currently, the figures show that there are only 289,000 registered voters aged 18 and 19, out of eligible population of approximately 2 million, according to the recent stats. Of the approximately 9 million eligible voters who are not currently registered, 6.2 million of them are under the age of 30. And those are the people who are outside of the net. But the good news about them, however, is that when it comes to youth participation, our voting statistics show that once young people are registered, they have a higher turnout levels than any other age group. In 2014, for example, the turnout for voters aged 18 and 19 was a whopping 83%, which is 10% higher than the average age groups. That means that if we can get young people to register, then they are highly likely to turn out and vote come election day. The Commission appeals to all young South Africans to exercise their constitutional and patriotic duty to register before the voters' roll closes. For this reason, the Commission, as pointed out by the CEO, decided to embark on a communication campaign that we are launching today, which will be predominantly focused on the youth. On the issue of gender representativity, we draw to the political parties' attention that the majority of the potential voters are women, but the majority of the candidates, amen. Therefore, the Commission appeals to parties to take the issue of gender and youth representativity into consideration as they compile the list. But the irony is not lost to me that I'm also coming as a chair of a boys' choir. In conclusion, distinguished guests and fellow South Africans, the Commission acknowledges that elections are by their nature highly competitive, robust, and have endemic risks. The Commission appeals to our electoral staff and all stakeholders that we should put our shoulders to the wheel and ensure that once again, on the 20th anniversary of our Constitution, we emerge with our track record in democracy intact. Our country should be proud to proclaim that to the world that we are still flying high the banner of electoral integrity, excellence, free and fair elections. Further, we should send a resounding message to the world at large that we South Africans remain a beacon of preeminence in the conduct of electoral democracy. Lastly, the message from the Commission to all South Africans is that your future and your community is in your hands. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, if I could sing, I would do so. However, we are all gifted differently, and singing is not one of my strong points. I'd like to introduce a beautiful presence here. Her name is called Natalie Mulibatsi, and she is going to sing for you a little bit. Welcome, Natalie. And Natalie, can you please come to the fore, please?
Open up your hands into the sky. Open up your hand and mark a path that tomorrow would want to walk on. See the song that is written in the palm of your hand. It is a song of liberation. Open up your hand. Let it walk. Let it touch. Let it feel. Let it hold. Let it walk and work a dream. Let your hand mold a dream into being. And then look hard into your hands. Look long into your hand until they become a mirror, your hands, in which the future will see its face. This is a generation woven by these very hands. Let tomorrow sing songs that will always tell tales of a people who woke and walked into a nation that will not be held up by storms or hurdles. You and your hands are the mending season. Your hands are the comforting reason that will shake off the sorrow. Your hands are a destiny and a vision that is unblurred, that you lift you up into the moon that will guide us as direction. Listen. Listen, I want to pour a poem and a wish and a thought into the open palms of your rhythm. I want to join you as you knit a tapestry with your hands, and then we rise like the sun does. We, the people who will hold a hand when another hand reaches out, when another hand calls, when another hand reaches out, when another hand pleads, that we will wake and shape our own song. Let us dance into the bits that have brought us this far, as we continue to weave our little bits into a tomorrow that wants to view them and you and us into their eyes. Today wants to speak of tomorrow, like yesterday has spoken of another time. Let us throw our hands into the hand of another time and another time. Let us style a mark and step into this or that other choice. Let us mark tomorrow's face and its voice, because today speaks only in the tongues of yesterday. Your voice will speak in the tongue of tomorrow. Tomorrow, yeah. Tomorrow is in your hand.
People, open your eye and answer the call of their drums. Frelimo, Frelimo, Samora Michelle, Samora Michelle, as one. Maputo, Maputo, home of the braves, all nations will soon be as one. Frelimo, Frelimo, Samora Machel, Samora Machel has come. I think we should all stand up. Can you all just go like this? Mozambique, I learn to continue. I learn to continue. I continue. In South Africa, I learn to continue. I learn to continue. I continue. In Angola, I learn to continue. I learn to continue, I continue. In Zimbabwe, hey, hey, I continue. In South Africa, mama, hey, hey, I continue. Mozambique, I learn to continue. I learn to continue, I continue. Mozambique, I learn to continue. I learn to continue, I continue. In South Africa, I learn to continue. I learn to continue, I continue. And to those who has given the lives, praises to thee, husbands and wives, all thy children shall reap what they sow. In this continent is home. Mozambique, I learn to continue. I learn to continue. I continue. In Angola, hey, I continue. In South Africa, mama, I learn to continue. Hey, I continue. Congo Tella. Aye. So. Yasina sika jamayonatele. Hele, yeah. Oh, ha. Utra. Hele, yeah. Hele, yeah. Hele, yeah. Hele, yeah. Tella, utra. Oh, ha. Mshosho ilani wakarile baula le botseng masopa ditete la isa la penga mabatho banna ba utumela mokorotlo ba re khidi ka South Africa itswetseng na utlwa eseng bona basadi women of Jersey utlwa na wetsa utlwa.
All right, live from Johannesburg, this is SABC News, your midday report, coming to you slightly later today due to the IEC's official launch of the 2016 municipal elections, which we've just been seeing there live from Midrand, and of course more updates on this coming up in our bulletins. First, let's take a look at what's coming up in your headlines. Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan reassures the country that the economy will not slip into...
I wish to invite the Vice Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Terry Tselane, to give us the vote of thanks. Betty?
Chairperson of the Electoral Commission. Is it right, boys? No, I think it's right. Yeah, I wanted to say, to start off by asking this and say, is it right, the voters? But after the comment from the chairperson, I felt that I needed to check also if is it right, the boys. Let me start firstly by acknowledging and recognizing the honorable ministers and deputy ministers present here. I've seen the Minister of Cogta, Mr. Des van Rooyen, as well as the Deputy Minister Nell, but I'm sure there are others that I may not have seen. Fellow commissioners, Judge Makanya, Commissioner Finger, and our chairperson, Commissioner Glenn Mashinini. Members of diplomatic corps, honorable leaders and representative political parties that are here, members of constitutional institutions, members of public sector institutions, members of judiciary, representatives of national and provincial government, members of SALG and representative local government, members of civil society, including the following institutions: the community-based organizations, traditional leaders, and faith-based organizations, representatives of trade unions, representatives of business leaders, or the business leaders that are here, international guests, members of the media, former leaders of the Electoral Commission. The chairperson referred to the former members here as our elders. I think it is appropriate that I refer to them as our ancestors. I saw Dr. Bam as well as Sis Toko here amongst us. It is possible that there could be one or two that I have not seen, but we really appreciate their presence amongst us. Yeah? But I also want to recognize Professor Amandla Mkunu, our first Chief Electoral Officer. I'm told he's here. I've not seen him. Thank you very much. Humble as always. I also want to recognize members of the media or members of the staff of the Electoral Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, fellow South Africans, and all registered and eligible voters. Let me start off by indicating that the 2016 elections, local government elections, will be the most exciting in the history of our country. The elections that are exciting and hotly contested also happen to be the most difficult for an EMB or election management body. We, nevertheless, from our side, as the Electoral Commission, wish to reaffirm our commitment and readiness to deliver free and fair elections. Recently, we were found wanting by the Constitutional Court in a manner that we administered the 2013 by-elections in Tlokwe. The Constitutional Court found us wanting mainly in three areas. One, that we did not give the political parties and independent candidates voters' roll with addresses. Two, that we did not provide the political parties and independent candidates with voters' roll on time. And lastly, that we allowed individuals who were not ordinarily resident in the wards where the by-elections were taking place to register and vote in those by-elections. Even though the 7 wards in Tlokwe only have 22,000 voters out of the 25.3 million registered voters we have, the judgment has had enormous implications for the way we will have to administer the 2016 local government elections. To help improve the accuracy of locating voters in the correct voting districts, we are currently embarking on the following steps. You may recall that these are some of the issues that the Constitutional Court suggested that we, or rather directed, that we should deal with. One, that we are developing improved maps in areas that do not have conventional addresses. By the way, only 37% of our country has got formal addresses that can be identified through what we call NAD or National Address Directory. So it means the overwhelming majority of our people live in areas that do not have formal addresses. These are people in the villages as well as in formal settlements. 2, we have also provided additional training, particularly on information related to addresses. We've deployed, for instance, in Tlokwe, our own staff to go in all these areas to try to identify the landmarks that we can then use as addresses for those purposes. To simplify it for you, if we come to an area where there is no address, we will try to identify some of the landmarks that we can use for the purpose of address. We can use, for instance, if there's a big tank, what they call Jojo tanks, we will say a Jojo tank is your address. We have already done that, and we have already had registration taking place in Tlokwe using that kind of information. In order for you to be able to use this information, it means our staff must actually go to those localities, identify the landmarks that we can then be able to use, but it must be landmarks that are identified also and recognized by the local communities. And then thirdly, we are also emphasizing sound local geographic knowledge, as I've indicated to you. Another aspect is that we have introduced another form. We call it an affirmation form. It's almost like an affidavit, but it's not an affidavit. It's a form that a person who comes to the voting station and does not have an address will have to sign in order to be able to say, this is exactly where I stay. I live in this area that I claim to be a resident. You may recall, those of you who have seen the judgment, that the judgment has indicated that the Electoral Commission is not obliged to provide, rather to get and verify the addresses of the voters. But at the same time, the Electoral Commission is obliged to find what the court calls sufficient particularities that can be able to assist us to be able to locate the person in an area where we say, rather in the segment of the voter's roll, in that area where they say they are resident. Ladies and gentlemen, the electoral process is a joint responsibility. It's a joint responsibility between ourselves as the Commission and various stakeholders. From our side, as the Commission, our responsibility is to organize, manage, and administer the elections. We also have got a responsibility of having to ensure that those elections are free and fair, and also to declare the results thereof. But the political parties have got a major responsibility as our partner. They've got a responsibility of firstly having to excite and mobilize people to participate in the process, but also to make sure that the process within the elections or the environment within which the elections are taking place is conducive for free and fair elections. And we'll be relying on you, but we want to thank you as political leaders who are here, all the political parties, for the role and the cooperation that you have had with us as the Commission. Another stakeholder that is important, it's obviously the civil society. We've been working very, very closely with all organs of civil society, the religious leaders, the religious institutions, traditional leaders. We've been working also with community-based organizations, non-governmental organizations. And we're going to continue operating with them because they also have got a responsibility in terms of, firstly, of mobilizing people, of providing voter education, but also of ensuring that when we go to the elections, they can also observe those elections. They understand the responsibilities. We've been working very closely with them in those areas. The media has got an important responsibility. We want to thank you as well for all the time disseminating information to the voters and making it easier for people to understand the process and how things are supposed to be run. We want to thank you as well for your cooperation. The electorate, want to thank them, want to thank all of you for making it easy. The elections are not about the ballot papers and all the things that are happening. They're actually not even about the political parties. The elections are about the will of the people. We have introduced all the institutions, including the political parties in societies where there is democracy, in order to give expression to that will of the people. So it is important that we understand every time when we run the elections that the most important people in the elections is the electorate. We want to thank them as well for their cooperation and for ensuring that our voters' roll has got as many people as we have. On behalf of the Commission, I want to thank the Municipal Demarcation Board and its leadership, all the commissioners that are here, from the chairperson, Ms. Tupana. I must indicate that we are very, very anxious as the Electoral Commission. We engage with the MDB from the beginning. We established committees where we are going to be operating together at technical level. But we are always very, very anxious, wondering whether they'll be able to deliver on time, because they were the most important dependency going in this 2016 local government elections. We want to thank you that you were able to deliver everything according to the timeframes as we had agreed. But let me thank the organizers of this event and our program director, Dr. Masuk, for doing such a fantastic job. Thank you very much. I decided earlier on not really to dance, and I kept on saying to Dr. Masuku, Dr. Masuku, tell those people that, you know, we must finish the formalities so that I can go on stage and really, really, really dance. So I think I want to thank them also in advance. I know they're still going to be coming here. But let me thank my colleagues, the commissioners who are here, the CEO, the deputy CEO, the POs, the senior managers. These elections are going to be very, very, very tough. They're going to be the most difficult elections this organization has ever run. Largely, as I've indicated, because of the excitement and the fact that they're hotly contested. But I just want to say this. As the chairperson indicated earlier on, from our side, we've got the people, we've got the system, we are ready, and we will deliver free and fair elections. I want to thank you all for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chairperson. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the conclusion of the program. I'd like to thank you for being a great audience to work with. I thank you for your patience. I thank you for turning off your cell phones. And those people whose cell phones decided to misbehave, I thank you too. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, I'm going to invite you to join us for lunch. The teams that brought you in are going to show you where lunch is going to be served. I'm going to ask the members of the media to stay behind so that we can have a question and answer session, so that you don't have to schedule individual interviews with the commissioners, the CEO, and the CEO's staff. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful afternoon. Look after yourselves and drive carefully on the roads. You know how roads can be. I thank you very much. Take care.
You are always lucky because when are you standing on that side? Eh?
So, le light ilena.
Yeah.
Maybe meluthola madima, so.
And I sometimes use contact lenses, but
Actually, I was going to voice near Marali, because of the sound.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, just quickly for record purposes, name, surname, as well as ANC title.
My name is Nomvula Mukonyani. I'm a member of the National Executive Committee of the ANC, responsible for elections and campaigns.
What do you make of the announcement made today in terms of the preparations heading into the municipal elections?
I think the IEC has done its best against all other situations that have been there outside. And we also want to echo the sentiments of the IEC on the work that has been done by the demarcation board. It is not always something that pleases all of us, but I think it is time now to move on. With those 2,392 wards, we're looking forward to placing in every ward a candidate and a machinery to win the coming elections. Yes, they're not going to be easy elections because of various factors, the global economy that has affected our country, as well as many other expectations that our people have, but we are ready.
Okay, and then in terms of tolerance, there's something that was also raised by the CEO as well as the chairperson.
The NC has always been committed to free and fair elections, and we are amongst the first to sign the Code of Conduct. We know that this is about a communications campaign. We now are going to follow the process around the signing of the Code of Conduct. We will always ensure that we have a conducive environment. We train our own members over and above the training that comes from the IEC. We make sure that it is in our best interest to win victoriously if our members actually maximize restraint, but ensure that any other participant in the elections does actually respect the right of every political party.
Just summing it up quickly.
Re malala laotswe re le African National Congress ebile re amohela tshehetso e hlahang ho IEC ya ho netefatsa hore batho ba rona ba tsebisiwa ka mosebetsi o shebaneng le dikgetho jwale ho fihlela mohlang wa dikgetho. Sa bobedi kore rona re le mokgatlo wa ANC re ikemiseditse hore maloko a rona le bao ba tlabeng ba sebetsa ka dikgetho ba tseba hore maitshwaro a emong le mong ke afeng ka bane re na le tshepo ya hore dikgetho tsena e tlabe le be tse di nang le khotso. So ho ba teng ha khotso o tlhokahala re emong le mong a itlame ka ho ya le Code of Conduct ya dikgetho ebile re tsebe hore ditshwanelo tsa rona ke tse feng le maikarabelo a rona ke afeng. Re tlo beya boteng ba ANC warding engwe le engwe ya di ward tse ho 2010 tse 2392 re tlo ba le bonkgetheng warding engwe le engwe e tlabang ile teng empa se se leng bohlokwa gore re ye bathong re dule re le bathong re rotloetse batjha ba rona gore le bone ba be le kgatlego ya ho ba le maikarabelo a utswa ba ilo vouta ka ba re ka etsa ho hohle empa ha re sa kgone ho ntsha batho ba ye dikgethong ka tsatsi la dikgetho ke mo re tla sitwang teng ho qala ka hore batho ba ingodise hore ba tsebe ho vouta ho fihlelle ka hore batho ba tsebe hore ho baneng ba tlamehile ba tshetse mokgatlo wa rona wa ANC le hore re bantshe ka bongata ba bone ka tsatsi la dikgetho.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Sharp.
Okay.
Come. You ready?
Okay. What's your expectations with regards to this municipal elections and the announcements being made here by the IEC?
Look, I think what we cannot deny is the fact that the elections this year are going to be closely contested. It's a big year for us. We're feeling very confident. We are going to key centers, key metros, Pretoria, Joburg, Tshwane, Nelson Mandela Bay, the city of Cape Town. These are going to be contested municipalities, and we believe we're going to come out, we're going to show our strength. We believe that we're the party that should bring change. And so I'm hoping that...
If you wouldn't mind, could you do this in the foyer? We've got a press conference now.
Oh, okay.
If you don't mind.
Okay, sorry.
Afterwards or whatever, but can we get over that over and done with? Or move to the foyer, please,
lunch?
thank you.
I'm not sure. Okay, let's go outside.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go outside.